what it's going to tell you, what people are going to figure out, and this is what I don't think people want to know, is you're going to realize that 95% of your health and longevity and quality of life, 95% resides in your hands. You make the decisions on how good your life is. Genetics play a role, but lifestyle, how you live, is the number one factor. I'm convinced of that.
With 50 plus years of combined produce, supply chain, entrepreneurial, and business experience, Craig Slade and Ed Bertad discuss the impacts of fresh produce on their lives and health. This podcast is a casual conversation between two friends just trying to get better. This is the Fresh Cred.
South by Southwest, Ed. That's exciting. Did you go? It's right up the street from you.
I didn't go. It snuck up on me like most things this year. I know we had plans to go last year, and frankly, I hadn't. Well, I was at I guess it was right before the shutdown. There was a then United Fresh event in Austin, and the director of South by Southwest talked about, what all it entails to put on South by Southwest. And then it looked like we were going to have an opportunity to participate in some form or fashion, right through TIPA, and then it got canceled. So since then,
TIPA with the International Fresh Produce Association.
Okay, yeah, right.
They've been there for the last 2 or 3 years, actually. So we actually worked. We were there for the 2019 show.
So I did not go. I had not realized what a production had become and how, until I looked up online to see what, a ticket would cost. It's not just a music festival anymore. It's everything.
Have you ever been, I mean, back when it was small to when it's big, have you ever been?
Yeah, years ago I went. But I just went to go to a couple concerts. I didn't realize that it had turned into, within South by Southwest, it's basically conferences, tech, self-improvement, health and wellness, all these different nodes. And I guess I'm speaking kind of out of school because I haven't been since it's been like that. But yeah, tickets are not cheap. I think the all-in pass is a couple $1,000.
Yeah, it's pricey. I think it's $1,200, $1,400. Yeah. But I got to tell you, if you can swing it, it's awesome. You need to go next year. It's up the road from you. You need to drop the coin. Tell IFCO to get off some dollars. It'd be good for them. You guys are innovative. No, it is a hell of a conference. It is way more than concerts. Concerts exactly where it started. It's crazy how it grew into this. It's like, but the people that are out changing the world, they attend this thing. It's huge, 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 huge. So go to South by Southwest. It gets 95% on the Rotten Tomatoes.
If you don't like crowds, don't go to South by Southwest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Apparently they had a nut job freaking do some shooting last night. Gunman opens fire at South by Southwest Festival. Austin 4 injured. That was 4 hours ago. So
that's not a good advert.
Yeah, they've never had any shootings when I was there that I knew of.
You managed to keep the peace.
I did indeed. But yeah, and International Fresh Produce Association attending that, I think that is awesome, visionary stuff that they're doing. Again, we hopefully, I believe TIPA will be part, working with them next year, as you mentioned, as well as certainly I hope SunFed is doing some stuff as well, because it's weird to think about tying in produce, right? I mean, but it's not, the show itself is really about looking at what is happening in the world. I mean, it's where the change makers come together and talk about ideas, whether it's reducing food waste, and what they're doing there, energy, and how do you change the energy spectrum. I mean, you name it. I mean, the speakers and the technology, virtual reality stuff. It's
Well,
just a whole.
would you say it's sort of a modern day World's Fair?
You know what? I would not have said that until you said that, and maybe I would say that
Okay.
now. That's actually pretty good thought.
Well, they do happen once in a while, even at this early time of the morning.
Yeah, Mason, you should write that down. Ed having a good idea. We need to circle
Call
back
the
on
paper.
that every now and then. Maybe replay it. Do a replay for.
Thanks.
So I see you writing. It's good. So I'm here.
Well,
for
hey,
you, baby.
Spring has sprung.
Hey, it has it now.
Today's the first day of spring.
I didn't know that. Y'all sprung forward. I knew that.
Yeah.
No, Mason's not very good with the whole keeping time thing. So spring forward, spring today. So what does that mean? So Punkalicious, what's that guy's name? Punkalicious Sam. He didn't see a shadow.
Punxsutawney
Huh?
Phil. Punxsutawney
Oh.
Phil.
Punxsutawney. Spell that, would you?
Is
Somebody
it
spell
Phil?
that. Where's Laura? I thought it's Sam.
No, I don't think it's Sam.
Punxsutawney Phil. Ed, you are correct.
Yes. It's a groundhog.
What kind of name? Where did that? What's
Have
the
you never
event-
seen
it's a what?
Groundhog Day? Groundhog
Oh
Day?
God, that's right. It is a groundhog. It's not a gopher.
That's a great movie.
Craig's thinking of Caddyshack.
Yeah. Now that is a great movie.
Mhm.
That, my friend,
Groundhog
is
Day is pretty
classic.
good. Bill Murray movie.
It seems to be repetitive, that show, if I remember it correctly.
Well, that's kind of the point.
It's like
'cause
the
it's
whole
Groundhog
show's about the
Day
same
every
all
day.
So Punxsutawney Phil is like, so what is that? But he sees his shadow, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if he sees his shadow,
So did he see his shadow? Did he see his shadow?
I think that was
No,
like in
today he's getting to see
February.
spring.
end of January. I think that's past. That doesn't. Yeah, it's.
Wow, okay. I know.
They're
it doesn't
gauging
happen
how
on
much
this day, but it
longer winter's gonna last.
doesn't that determine when we get to have spring or not have spring?
No,
you know,
spring is predetermined. Like the official start of spring is predetermined.
it's not counting on some groundhog.
Unfortunately, not. No.
How does he tell him whether or not he saw his shadow?
It's a talking groundhog.
Yeah.
He comes out. Or he gets scared of his shadow. He has certain mannerisms, Mason, that
Let's just say it's ceremonial in nature.
We have to think about this, man. Think about this. We as humans in this country, we literally created this groundhog, and I'm guessing it's a different one. We don't have one ancient groundhog. We don't have a 91-year-old groundhog coming out of his damn hole. That's every year, and once he's done, then we don't have a groundhog anymore. I mean, now I'm thinking about all this. I've never unpacked Groundhog Day. Maybe maybe you should eat squash on Groundhog Day. Heck, Sunfed could parlay into that deal.
You should get on that.
Zucchini squash. Everybody should eat that. Yeah. Thinking about that. I mean, you got chocolate for Valentine's Day, right? Roses, chocolate.
So spring has sprung. That's the point. All right. The weather has been beautiful. Days are longer, or at least daylight hours are longer, which is sort of a issue for me because I tend to be outdoors later, and then when it come in, it's late enough to where it sets my whole schedule back. Right, go to bed later than even normal. So, yeah, getting used to it. Did you hear about the proposed legislation to do away with daylight savings and the whole time change deal?
Well, no, because we already did away with it.
Yeah, but in one state.
I
I'm
know,
talking
but
about nationally.
if our state doesn't participate, why would I worry about the news about the rest of you
Because you have
guys?
to be in touch with what's going on in the rest of the country. I mean, it affects you one way or the other. I mean, it affects you on our start time, which we had to literally use an abacus for to try to figure out that night
Yeah,
before the time change on what time we're
I'm worried
starting.
about you guys. It's a freaking hour. I mean, you know, Mason kept adding. He's like, I don't understand. I don't understand how you don't change time. I'm like, dude,
I had never
make
heard
the
of it.
freaking rule.
When
I,
did Arizona stop doing that?
I don't think they ever started.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever
News
See, I don't
started.
travels
know.
very
Yeah,
slow to Arizona. Yeah, news travels very slow to Arizona.
well, see, I didn't have that bit of information. Like, so you're just like, yeah, spring forward, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, it's 2 hours. I'm like, what do you mean it's 2 hours? It's 1 hour, man. Like, why is it going to change?
Yeah, no, yeah. It's you got to think it's warm in Arizona, and in Arizona we're not looking to capture an extra hour of hot in the summer. So we prefer to stick with, you know what, let's just stay with where we're at. You know what, it's hot enough. Ed talked about the days being longer. We don't really change the amount of sunlight that exists, right? The sunlight, granted, it gets longer in the summertime, right? You peak in, I think it's June or something like that, and then it starts to decline again. So you actually get more hours of sunlight, no question, with or without the time change. But the time change does nothing except shift when we call morning and evening. That's all it does. It doesn't change the amount of hours.
Well, whether we do away with it or not, it was a pretty smart guy that came up with the idea. Do you know who it is, Craig?
I believe it was Benjamin Franklin.
All right. You get a gold star for the day.
Thank you. Thank you. He was a smart cat.
Yeah, he was all right.
He was a man about the ladies too.
I did not know that.
He was. Actually, he loved Paris, and so that's how we got the Frenchies to support us against the Brits. He was over there hanging out in Paris and schmoozing the Parisians and enjoying the ladies over there in Paris. Yeah. Interesting dude, super smart guy, brought a lot to us. The almanac. I know you being a farm boy, you're familiar with the almanac. You probably have one by the toilet. All good Texas boys have an almanac at the toilet. Why, I don't know. I guess that's where people read it. But it's a little factoid for people out there. Trust me. I'm not making that up. Almanac's very popular in the toilet area in Texas.
And Tractor Supply.
Mason, do you have one?
No, I've got a phone.
Get you an almanac. Get on the program. Guarantee you, go to your local grocery store. They'll have them on a big end display. Do you even know what an almanac is?
Is it like an encyclopedia?
Well, it is not exactly like an encyclopedia, but
you're referring to a farmer's almanac, Craig. And so there's different types of almanacs, but the almanac, to be specific,
Is
yes, there is. There's World Almanac. Almanac is a term for some sort of reference material, but the farmer's almanac is what you're talking about.
Well, I am talking farmer's almanac. I thought that's all there was. And I do believe Benjamin Franklin invented that as well. So, Mason, if you need to plant a crop, you need a farmer's almanac. It tells you exactly when the sun's going to come up by day, when to plant your squash,
moon cycles,
depending on where you live.
So it's kind of like a calendar mixed with an encyclopedia.
Yeah, maybe. Don't know how much encyclopedia stuff in there. There is stuff in there that's, I don't know. My God, it's been a long time. But yeah, I'm looking up. I mean, apparently, there's fishing. Apparently, Farmer's Almanac on fishing. Looks like it is
You're gonna need to
state
get the snowboarder
specific.
one.
I do need to get the Snowboarder Farmer's Almanac. The old Farmer's Almanac 2022. That's the one I'm referring to. That's the one. The old that is the classic. Go get a farm. We need to get a Farmer's Almanac and break it down, as they say. Break it down.
Let's just get one. Read it on the pod. We'll just make a series. Craig reads you the Farmer's Almanac from 1936.
That'll bring them running in. Yeah, 2022, man. It's crazy still writing this stuff, because
You're going to break the internet. You went from talking about crypto every week to the Farmer's Almanac. Like one extreme to the other.
Nobody's talking Farmer's Almanac. Nobody's talking Farmer's Almanac. So we'll come back to Farmer's Almanac someday.
Please do.
You kids should go get one, though. Y'all should educate yourself on it. And I believe Benjamin Franklin wrote it. Nobody's buying an almanac these days. They get this damn internet thing. I can look up sunrise and sunset in like 10 seconds. I don't need a freaking book. Internet's taking everything out. Benjamin Franklin, all of it. But anyway, I believe you were listening some pods. Because this show, we're about trying to get each other better.
We were talking about age, and I actually thought about it last night and was thinking, man, why did it take me so long to actually try to improve myself? It's like once you get old, when it's too late,
Yeah.
Youth is truly wasted on the young, because if I would have started even being half as conscious as I am now 20 years ago, I might be a superhero.
You can't look at life and think, I don't have time left to do X, Y, Z, right? You have to look at it as, look, I didn't figure it out till now, and I got to get started. And yeah, you can still be a superhero. Hell, you're a superhero now. You're changing lives, Ed.
Well, that's very kind.
You're changing lives and making a difference. You're a freaking superhero now.
You too. I'll be your Robin one day, and then you can be my Robin the next day. No, so I had been listening to a couple podcasts. Most of it was guests that Lewis Howes had on, who I really like to listen to because he has great guests.
Right.
But one of them was the author of the 5-second rule, which is Mel Robbins. And so the 5-second rule is basically a method that she's identified or developed. She's calling it the secret to changing anything about your life. Using the rule as a countdown method to break any habit, interrupt self-doubt, negative talk, push yourself to take actions. So that was really good.
So break it down. You got to break.
I haven't read the book.
What is that?
I've just listened to her interview.
Yeah.
But there, she did position things different. Several things that she said that kind of resonated with me. For example, like she was talking about confidence, right? So confidence, saying that confidence isn't the absence of self-doubt, but the willingness to try even though you doubt yourself. Just like, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking an action in the face of it. A lot of things that are, I wouldn't say that make sense, but you never really think of them that way or position that way. So,
right. But I guess I'm curious. Did she talk about what? So what do you do in that 5 seconds?
That's what rule. I guess I would need to buy the book for. She didn't really go over like the instructions, because then she probably wouldn't sell that many books. But it's more about breaking bad habits. Maybe just think before you speak type, mentality.
Which is the quote. Yeah, that's the quote on my phone actually.
Really? You have to remind yourself that?
No, I don't want to butcher the quote, but it's Viktor Frankl, which we've talked about before, which awesome. The Man's Search for Meaning Alive. If you never read any other book in your life, Man's Search for Meaning Alive, read that book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, written late 40s, early
Mhm.
50s. The only book you ever should read. Seriously. I mean, I'm not being hyperbolic. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it's huge. Like I said, you got to read that book for sure before you read anything else. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is the power to choose our response. And that's everything, you get cut off in traffic, right? There's that second where you choose your response.
Yeah.
And you decide, or are you in control, or is somebody else in control of you? So, or are you just rando? You just blow up. Super
And some
cool.
things
So, Lewis Howell.
just
Go ahead.
a bunch of things that make complete sense that you just have to be reminded of, or we have to remind ourselves from time to time, a little checkpoint. And other things she said that, again, super basic, but I thought about it quite a bit. You're always one decision away from a totally different life. If you look back at any
Yeah.
pivot moment of your life, there was a decision you made.
Yeah.
So pretty basic stuff, but worth thinking about a little bit. And then the other guest he had that I really liked was Dr. Ellen Vora. So she's an MD,
Mhm.
but she practices, I think, what she calls practical medicine. But most of her discussion was about anxiety, and true anxiety versus what would be physiologically imposed or created. She talked about having a lot of patients come to her looking for treatment for anxiety, most of which haven't really examined themselves, their body, what they're doing to themselves from sleep, nutrition, caffeine, all those factors, which makes complete sense. I mean, if I sleep 4 hours, wake up and have a pot of coffee, and the minute and a problem arises, I feel anxiety or stress, it likely hasn't helped that I haven't set myself up for success, so to speak, as far as being
Right.
able to deal with those stressors, right? So she's talking about life stressors, um, stressors on your body, your diet, um, sleep, and for most of her patients, once they get all those other things right, they either get better, and then there's few that just don't get better without any kind of medication or traditional medicine. So that was pretty interesting. I think she wrote a book as well, but the title of it was How to Turn Anxiety into Your Superpower. So,
Well, look at that. That's
yeah,
interesting.
some
But yeah, but
interesting
that's
stuff
yeah.
there.
So it goes back to what we talk about all the time. I mean, the things that you do, right? I mean, we between what we consume and how we exercise and sleep, all those things, right? They add up to um, good days or bad days, right? I mean, you don't get enough sleep, you eat junk or eat poorly, and as much as I love coffee, yeah, drink too much of that or whatever. I mean, like you say, I mean, all those things, everything we put in, all the inputs we're putting in our body, and just our lifestyle determines whether it's going to be a super feel good, high energy day or it's going to be bleh or very negative. So, we're all making that choice. Um, that's all. I think that's the thing too. Is like we want to lean into genetics. Oh, I'm genetically wired this way, or oh, blah 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 blah. It's a situation, whatever. Reality, majority of how we are. I mean, yeah. We at the end of the day, it's still our responsibility, our fault,
Yeah. I
individually,
mean, for
right?
example,
You
something
know.
that I didn't. I mean, I've been a connoisseur of antacids since way back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she just used an example on how, you know, folks with and gastritis or heartburn, chronic heartburn, are prescribed, prescription antacids. But while antacids don't like kill off your microbiome, but they do decrease your stomach acid, which allows the bad um, bacteria, I guess it is, to
Mm-hmm.
to flourish. So you're trying to treat a symptom, and you're messing something else up. So
You're
you're
creating a bigger
creating
problem.
a lot of the
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. I was as a young person, man. I was taking Tums as a young child. Um,
Like candy.
I, literally. I mean, yeah, my 80-year-old grandmother and I were at one time fighting over the Tums when I was a kid. So she was afraid I was going to eat them all. But I no longer do antacids. Period. One, I mean, I didn't chew tobacco as a child. I was pretty wired as a kid, so I got over that. No longer am I wired, so that helped. And then as a teenager, I thought it was a good idea. Uh, Instead of becoming a real cowboy, I thought I'd just play one, and so chewing tobacco was super important to being a real cowboy. So I picked up the habit of chewing tobacco. That doesn't help indigestion. I'm just going to tell you. And then consumption of alcoholic beverages. Neither of those, chewing tobacco, alcoholic beverages, and being wired, those are not a good combination. So, um, I've cut out 2 of the 3, and I
So I
don't really
sent you
have
I
indigestion
sent you
problems anymore.
you made me think of I sent you another podcast. I'm not done listening to it, but it was an interview with Dan Harris, who I didn't realize in 14 had a panic attack while broadcasting ABC News. Did you ever see
Yes,
that?
sir.
You saw it?
I have. I've actually. I know Dan Harris. I know the story. He actually is a partner in an app for
A meditation
meditation.
app?
That was actually it was one of the very first meditation apps I listened to when I started part of my journey. But yeah, go ahead. But continue your story.
No, that's it. So it
Yeah.
sounds like I wasn't aware that happened to him. I've seen him on the news and didn't think twice about it. Like, seems like a pretty well put together guy. And so he wrote a book apparently, and it's have you heard of his book?
Yeah.
Okay, the 10% Happier.
I've not read his book.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think he's lost. I think he's um, written a couple of books, but this one's called 10% Happier, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
all hinges on meditation. So while you were talking about being wired and high strung, it sounds like him talking. Basically, he was talking about how high strung he was as a even now as an adult, but as a young adult and as a child. And the fact that
Well,
meditation isn't.
he had a little cocaine as well. Cocaine was part of his
Oh,
issues at
see, he
time
didn't
as
he didn't
well.
talk about that, not yet, at least in the
Yeah,
podcast, but
yeah,
he did talk about
yeah.
meditation not being the answer to everything, but if it can make him 10% happier, it's worth doing. So I think that's where the name of the book
Yeah.
came about. So sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, and that yeah, no, again, it's a great story. It is kind of crazy. So you've seen the clip where he has the panic attack. Have you seen
I
that?
haven't
It's
seen the
like
clip. I pulled it up, but I didn't watch it.
yeah. So Yeah, no. I
It
mean,
might make
I
me anxious.
recommend that.
It might make
That's
me anxious. I don't want to do that.
so. Well, I mean, but that's what you've talked about. You tend to suffer from a little anxiety,
Yeah, well,
and you've talked
everything I was
about how
listening
you've
to
been
last
able
night,
to.
is making me question myself. Like, you can't put in, 4 or 5 hours of sleep and a pot of coffee and a lot of stress and then not be anxious. I mean, it's really that ties back to the 5 second rule, concept where um, Mel Harris is talking about. Um, where is it? Mel Robbins. Um, breaking habits and really self-examination, but how much of it is self-imposed and how much of it is real true stress and anxiety, um
Exactly.
and being anxious only about things that you can control and not those that you can't control. So there's a lot there.
So, I mean, we may have talked about this before, but so coffee has or caffeine has what was called a half life of like 12 hours. Basically, you need to not be drinking caffeine if you don't want it affecting your sleep past 10 a.m. Más o menos, right? Somewhere around that time. You need to stop any caffeine consumption. Otherwise, it's going to affect your sleep unless go to bed at midnight, which that too is a problem.
Or
But
unless
if you
you
try
have
to
a
get to bed by
super
9 or
high
10,
metabolism, which I don't, so I don't have to worry about that. But
no, no, there's that. So there's that concept. I mean, I'm of that mindset, right? I can drink coffee till 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, and I can fall right to sleep. That does not mean I'm not being affected by the caffeine. Again, my family drinking coffee, that's been a tradition. I mean, literally all day long coffee drinkers, right? And it's always that mindset that, well, it doesn't affect me because I do have a high metabolism. Um, but no, the reality of it is caffeine is a drug and it does create negative sleep. Tanya, in fact, has been she's pretty much eliminated caffeine. I know she's down to maybe a cup of coffee kind of a day, regular cup of coffee first thing, but no more than that. She said it's pretty dramatic, the improvement. So I've quit it for a couple of days, which is pretty tough, difficult.
I don't think you're supposed to
It
do
wasn't
that.
that dramatic for me. No,
No. Um,
why?
I don't know. Just I was joking. Withdrawals. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely
I don't
tough.
even want to go the afternoon without drinking at this point. But yeah, I probably shouldn't be drinking coffee at 5, 6 o'clock like I do. It's
I try and
probably
introduce
why I
decaf.
wake up
That's kind of
after.
my solution.
What's that?
I try and introduce decaf after about 11. I try to introduce it. I'm not always effective with it, but that's my go-to right now
Hmm.
is decaf. And I actually drink more tea today. There's a time when I never drank tea, hot tea, but I've got a decaffeinated tea that I love, and that's my go-to in the late afternoon. So I don't drink any coffee late afternoon anymore. But and like I said, I try and start into the decaf by 11. So
Yeah,
give it a
I
cracker.
was
It might make you feel
I
better.
was I was saying, I'm drinking at 5, 6 o'clock, and it's probably why after 4 or 5 hours of sleep, I wake up like I forgot something. I mean, literally, like jump out of bed, like who's there? uh,
Oh my God. Uh, so, all right. Well, hey man, that was something good right there, right? You know what? Maybe my coffee. One other thing would help me continue to focus on reducing that. Will help me lower my anxiety. Although I don't suffer from anxiety quite like you do, I tend to actually create anxiety in other people. That's usually my role. Um, whereas you suffer from it, I I'm kind of a creator of it. So
That's a coping mechanism.
is it?
Mm-hmm.
What,
It's the
what am I coping
steamroller
with?
effect. Yeah, it is somewhat of a coping mechanism, but we won't get into psychoanalyzing you today because what I know about psychoanalysis would fit on the tip of this pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big pen.
But maybe it's something to think about.
I will. I'll think about it. I have to think what I'm coping with.
Craig, catching up on a couple things that we had missed while we were out and had an interview here recently, so we didn't get to talk about, but I believe you went to SEPC.
Yes, Southeast Produce Council. You know what? Outstanding guys did a great job putting on another fabulous show. I did not attend last year. We as a company were there and had a booth, and it was pretty. But for me, and then last year's Viva, this was just outstanding in terms of the number of people, the feeling that it's back to what we would call normal, right? It was good. Lots of customers. Everybody felt good. There's hugging and carrying on, and great to see you, and festive moments. So they put on an outstanding show. They always do a great job, and then to me, for us being Viva guys, right, it just gives me confidence that our shows, it's going to be great. It's going to be lots of attendees, lots of fun, um, and then we'll roll up to the big show in October. Finally back to PMA, which will be the first one in over 2 years that we've got that. I mean, it's just I don't know. I thought it was outstanding. It really this week. You hear about freaking China got freaking COVID blew up, and I guess the UK this morning some kind of. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know what? Come on, let's be done with it. Enough with the statistics. People are gonna get it. I got it. Get vaccinated and move on. That's my motto.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people are doing that. So we need to quit freaking tracking all this crap. Sorry for those of you that want to keep tracking it. I'm out.
What?
But great show. I know that's not where you wanted to go with it, but that's kind of where I went.
No,
I
that's
think it was
where
an
I
outstanding
was
show. It was good to see everybody out there doing it.
asking for your feedback. I didn't go, so I missed it. And
Yeah.
It gives me hope, like you said, for Viva for sure. I'm glad that it was a great turnout. So, and then as far as the October show, it's not. What's it going to be called again? IFPA.
International Fresh Produce Association.
But the expo is going to be called the same.
I'm guessing they won't call it PMA.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know what they're going to call it. I hadn't given any thought. They'll need a name, won't they?
Yeah, and see what you can do about rescheduling it for me, because that's right during Colorado hunting season.
Right during the big deer hunting episode. Mm-hmm. I know.
What are you gonna do about that? Can you help me?
Yeah, you need to delay your trip. Why do you have to do it the same week every year?
There are seasons that are set forth by the state that you can't do anything about.
It's got to be longer than 2 weeks.
Craig, don't you read the hunting almanac?
I love it.
No, Punxsutawney Sam didn't tell me when.
Punxsutawney
Sam. So
So to be clear, it'll be called the Global Produce and Floral Show, October 27th through the 29th.
So what's the acronym for that? Because everybody's going to make it an acronym.
TGPFS.
That's a long one.
Mm-hmm. Just rolls off the tongue.
Maybe it won't be an acronym. Yeah, what is it called? Global Produce Show?
I guess you could call it the TGP, the Global Produce.
Yeah, TGP. That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, are you going to the TGP this year?
TGP.
No, you're not. You're
Hey,
going to be.
see you at the TGP. I like it.
Oh, we've got to talk about the interview that's coming up, right? We wanted to talk just when Ed,
Yes.
talk about getting better. You know what? When people hear we're gonna make swimmers out of this show. When they hear
I'm a sinker.
Big Rick, well, you won't be after you listen to this coming episode. You're going to be a wine drinking, swimming sucker.
Okay.
Big River Man. Big River Man, we've interviewed. I mean, was that not one of? I mean, wasn't that a blast?
That was fun.
Interviewing Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
So, folks, what we're talking about is Martin Strel. He swam the Amazon River, and you need to stop and process that. You know, and it's 2,300 miles he swam. So it wasn't like he swam for a few feet, got the heck out. The man swam for, I believe it was 66 days. Somebody needs to check on Dubai and see if he's gotten any press out of that Dubai swim. So, anyway, if you've made it through this far and you put up with the groundhog discussion, almanac discussion, and you got all the way to this part of the show, please mark your calendar for the next drop of Martin Strel, Big River Man, Man Who Swam the Amazon. It's going to be gold. It is. Mason is really putting the stuff together. It was a great conversation. Martin Strel is a great guy. Cannot wait. I don't think the video quality is going to be good. It may not be one you want to watch on the YouTube, but certainly listen to it.
Yeah. Martin holds like 5 world records for swimming the Danube, the Mississippi, Yangtze, the Amazon. What impressed me the most about him was just the obvious lack of fear, or the ability to control it. Let's say everybody should have fear to a certain degree. It's what keeps us from running into traffic. But the ability to control it and channel it. I mean, what was really impressive to me, as well as the way he spoke about, I think it was 60 something countries he'd been to and swam in throughout his life. I mean, he's 67 years old, and the way he talks, he's just getting started and wants to take on the world and do it all. And it's just an impressive attitude, and just an impressive guy. He's pretty cool. Look, I know we usually talk about fresh foods and fresh fruits and vegetables, but there are times where you have to cut corners, right?
Right.
And
Corner cutter.
yeah, and sometimes convenience, necessity, foraging at home, when the supplies are low. So I had this. I was skeptical at first, but I had this protein bowl. It's a frozen product. I'm putting it up on the screen here. Cedar Lane protein bowl. This one in particular is called chicken souvlaki. Brown and wild rice, quinoa, zucchini, Swiss chard, Kalamata olives, yogurt, and feta cheese. Super good, relatively healthy, gluten-free. Just something I had this week that I really liked. And
nice.
And it's a frozen meal.
I think that's a good go-to. Yeah, I mean, you get, for this lifestyle, you got to have things in your lifestyle that you can go to and not break out and go eat something junky. Because a lot of times you're eating junky because it's convenient, it's quick. So yeah, you got to have that kind of stuff. You're not always going to want to be in there sauteing rainbow chard. You know,
I mean, you want to be, but you can't.
Right. So, No, I think it's good.
Well, thanks. So you did anything exciting this week?
Man, let's see. Exciting. I did. I mean, I made some rainbow chard. I sauteed that. I love rainbow chard, buddy. That's good bull. Little onion, little olive oil, rainbow chard sauteed up. It's good stuff. Yeah, I cooked a couple times this week. Got my favorite purple sweet potatoes. Picked those up the other day at Whole Foods. Fasting. I keep telling you, fasting. Make sure you're not eating every 30 seconds of the day. Super important.
Yeah, so that Dr. Vora spoke about, and I can't recall everything she said, but she was discussing insulin spikes and insulin resistance and how intermittent fasting can perhaps reset your metabolism in order to be more resistant to insulin spikes. So it's something I'd like to learn more about.
Yeah. So we need to get us some of those continuous monitors for your glucose monitors.
Okay.
You can see how your sugars and all spike as you eat, don't eat, what you eat, how it affects all your sugars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
you usually need to be diabetic to get one, but you can get them now. Anybody can get one. Just ask your doctor.
Yeah. Well, hell, have you seen the EKG thing that they invented that like hooks up to an app and you can literally like take an EKG tabletop? It's like
No, I
it's
hadn't
like the
seen that.
size of a, oh, it's tiny. It's a little bit bigger than like a lipstick case, and you put both your fingers on it, and you can take an EKG reading anytime you want.
We have to check into that.
I could have used that a few years back.
Yeah, you would have been freaking checking that every 30 minutes, though. That would have you'd have driven yourself crazy, freaking EKG in it. But yeah, so I mean, I'm going to be part of the team that invents the Life Watch. That's my ultimate goal is the Life Watch,
Mm-hmm.
which monitors your blood constantly, and it's doing metrics and calculating how much longer you're going to live based on what your blood's doing.
Oh yeah, that won't drive anybody crazy. It's like the miles to empty on your dashboard. Same thing.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly. Right. You know, and when you eat that damn cheeseburger, right? You know, you look at your Life Watch and, you know, you're going to die, you know, let's say 2060, whatever. I'm going to die 2060. And I eat me a cheeseburger and I eat me a milkshake. And all of a sudden that starts flowing to my, all of a sudden I go from, I'm down 2059. Like, woo. I think it would influence what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure a whole lot of work would get done. I think you'd have people gambling about, running around, trying to exercise to extend their life. But it's a good concept. Let me know when your first round of fundraising is on that.
I'm putting this out there in the world, so you know I've kind of broken it. I've kind of held this close to my vest, this idea,
Mm-hmm.
because the fear of not being the guy to actually get to invent it. But you know what? I figure I got a lot on my plate. I'm not sure I'm ever going to get around to inventing the watch. So I'm now at the point where I'm going to put this out there for somebody else to help me. Right? We can do a co-fab, a collab, as they call it, as the kids say it. We're going to collab. And so I was also going to write a book on it. I had a book idea. Think about the psychology, right? So this Life Watch, right? And I really do think we will get to a watch that nobody's going to put the death day on there, but we're going to get to a watch that is constantly being monitored by a computer, quote unquote, a physician, right? But can you imagine your data going to Apple? Apple's got this huge database with this doctor, this AI, artificial intelligence doctor, that evaluates your metrics on a day-to-day basis, right? You no longer go to the doctor once a year and get a checkup. It's, you know, the second cancer starts to show up in your blood, this AI machine picks up the freaking whatever signal. Your white blood cell count goes up, whatever. I don't know, right? But I do believe we will get to that. Like I said, I don't think anybody's going to put on the watch, hey, I predict you're going to die this day. They could. Statistically, you could do that, but I don't think anybody's going to be down with that. Anyway, my book that I was going to write was all the psychology around that, right? Because because everybody would have access to it, right? And so you think about it from a government standpoint, you could reduce health cost, so you could then require citizens to wear it, which then all the anti-vaxxers would storm the Capitol because they don't want to wear the watch. Or, you would have insurance companies charging you more if you refuse. Anyway, long
It's
and
like the
short of
Gong
it,
Show.
this book, I had this idea. I had the idea we could write this book. And it's just imagine the psychology. Like I say, insurance companies, people would not be fans. And you would have people like me. They're like, I don't care. Right? I want to be monitoring this because it gives me a chance to live longer. Then you have people like that. I don't want people watching me. La, 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 la.
Mhm.
So get it.
Well, maybe
So,
if you had
but the
maybe if
psychology
you
of it
had
all.
like an implanted chip option, maybe that'd be better.
There you go. That may be where it goes. It may be an implant chip. You joke. You say that. Ha 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 ha. That's coming.
Okay.
And then I think people will think that's the mark of the beast.
That's a whole other show.
Well, get ready. Big data, big tech, it's coming. And you know what? Let me leave you all with this, right? What it's going to tell you, what people are going to figure out, and this is what I don't think people want to know, is you're going to realize that 95% of your health and longevity and quality of life, 95% resides in your hands. You make the decisions on how good your life is. Genetics play a role, but lifestyle, how you live, is the number one factor. I'm convinced of that. And I think all this watch and educations, that's what's going to make people realize, like, hey, it's what I'm eating that's killing me. Hey, it's the fact that I'm not sleeping, it's making me nutso. Right? Anyway. All right, Mason, I got the hook. I'm out. I won't write the book on this Tay show. But
that's all very uplifting. Thank you, Craig. That's a hell of a note to end on.
What? That's a positive. See, why would that be negative? I am thrilled that it's in my control. I'm not left to some random deal, right?
Yeah.
I like it being in my control. I like controlling stuff.
Okay.
So, positive, Ed.
Positive.
You got to take the positive. You can control your antacid. Put down the damn Tums and freaking quit the coffee.
You got it, Toyota.
Put the Black Rifle down.
Hey, I'm good. I don't have any problems. I did.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still keeping up with my 100 push-ups a day, sometimes 200. It's been 30 days almost.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I will literally, it could be 11 o'clock at night, and if I haven't done them, and I forgot, I have jumped out of bed and made myself do it. And it's not about the push-ups. It's about doing what I set out to do and completing what I set out to do.
Can we have Callie on the show sometime? I would love for Callie to join us on the show.
No. It's not gonna happen.
I think I gotta say.
No, but I did say,
next time I
like,
see her.
I did say she was giving me material last night because I called her you know how there's dream catchers? I told her she's a dream trasher because we're watching American Idol. We're watching American Idol last night, and I'm a pretty sensitive guy. I mean, music really, like, when somebody sings really well and it's a great story, like, I get kind of emotional. And so I was inspired, and I'm not a horrible singer besides, her opinion, which is that she doesn't agree. But I'm somewhat musical. I mean, was raised in a musical family, play an instrument. And I told her, I said, I think I want to take singing lessons. And she said, what for? I said, just because I think, I'd like to learn how to technically, I mean, there are folks that can carry a tune and sing in tune, but aren't, spectacular singers, right? I just want to be the best I can be, right? And she kind of squashed it, so I'm mad at her today.
So she's the dream trasher, not the dream catcher.
I hope she doesn't listen to this one. So I'll be taking singing lessons. But
Oh, I hope she does. Callie, if you listen to this one, you have an invite for me to come on this show, and we will dissect Ed live for everyone to. That would be so much fun.
more importantly, back to my original statement, which was I've kept up with my push-up challenge.
Good for you. That is admirable for sure.
Thank you.
For sure. So,
Oh man,
yeah,
there's gonna be
he'll be spanking
be-
that freaking golf ball 350 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
there's gonna be some brawls.
All right. So Ed, can
Yes, sir?
you take us out of this short show
You
that we
know,
had today?
I am, and I'm going to take us out with a request. I'm going to take us out with a request because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and when it's a request and a challenge, I listen to a lot of podcasts, good podcasts, and I share them with friends. I'm asking our audience to do the same. If you hear something, even if it's one thing you find interesting and you think it can help somebody else or somebody else would find it interesting, please share it. It's real easy. It's a 2-step process to share it. Text the link. Super easy. If you don't know how or need help, shoot me a note. Call me if you know me or have my number, I should say. And we'll walk you through it. But share. Follow us at The Fresh Cred on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and soon to be LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn now.
Yeah. Well,
Now we're there.
We're there? Okay.
We are there,
We're
baby.
on LinkedIn as well. And then on Twitter at CredFresh. And share. Send us an email at thefreshcred@gmail.com.
Outstanding. Well, I like the idea of sharing. Let's go out and share this. Share any news. anything
Listen,
that you've got there.
learn, and
you
share.
know,
Listen more, learn
Okay.
more, share more.
enough said. Ed, go out and make it a wonderful day. Mason, enjoy your Sunday. Make it great. First day of spring. Everybody, don't forget it sprung. The gopher saw his shadow.
I'm going to go run in the meadow here in a minute.
Go run in the meadow. Perfect. Well, all right, fellas. Everybody have a great week. And we'll see you guys back here soon. Take care. Tell everybody hello.